The opinions expressed in the following program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect those of Rogers nor Rogers TV.
Have you ever wanted to start your own business? Does the idea of having your own project excite you? This week on #NoFilter, we are talking about how you can be the next teen entrepreneur. Hi everyone, I'm Ruchika Bindra, and this week on #NoFilter, we are talking about how you can be the next Mark Zuckerberg. I'm not joking, how you can be a teen entrepreneur in your very own York region. We have with us today our two guest panelists, Don De Los Santos, who is the manager of the program, and we have with us Caitlin Chang, who is somebody who has done a teen program and is going to talk to us about what it's like to start your own business. Our guest panelists is Mark and Olivia. Welcome, guys. So, Don, what does it mean to be a teen entrepreneur?
You know, I think it means to take something you're passionate about and realize that you could potentially earn some money doing something that you're very interested in.
And most people think you need to be an entrepreneur when you're older. Like, I remember growing up, it was like, you know, I need to first get a job, and I need to work under somebody to start my own business. And the idea of being your own entrepreneur was almost intimidating. And now it's changing, right? There's so many young teens that are coming up with ideas. What is something that you've noticed with teenagers?
Absolutely. You know, it is traditional to get some work experience, but I think youth nowadays, that they're looking for experiences, something that is more than just a 9 to 5, and something that they can really apply, as I said, what they're passionate about to the work that they're doing.
And they can see the results.
And it's the concept of being your own boss.
Right.
You know, looking for a summer job. You could work minimum wage at fast food restaurant or something like that, but there are more interesting opportunities out there. And so entrepreneurship, I think, allows youth to really express their interests and do it in a productive way.
Mark, have you known or ever thought of starting your own business?
Well, the one thing is I have a friend who is really into clothing, and he always wanted, you know, to be with the latest trends. He always wanted to look good, and that was his thing. And he decided that I want to be a designer and I want to make my own clothing. So he went out and he did that. He found people who would print shirts for him. He found people who could help him design shirts. And he did that. And he came up, made a shirt so far. It looks great. I don't know how much further he's going to take it, but the way that he achieved it and what he did, there's a lot of people at our school who have a lot of respect for him now, because it's something that a lot of people want to do, but not everyone really has the courage to do it. And the fact that he's been successful with it so far and he's made something that he can be proud of and something that people like, it's really impressive.
Don, is that something that you've also seen before with teens, that a lot of them want to, but they don't know like how or where to start? You know, it's like I have an idea, but how do I put it into motion? It's
a great point. You know, it used to be that you'd have to take an entrepreneurship class in high school to find out what it's about.
Yeah.
But I think nowadays there are all sorts of business clubs in schools. Youth get the opportunity to experience it through that. Even special interest groups, not-profit organizations that focus on whether it's environmental issues or just business in general, competitions that pop
Right.
up. So there's a lot more opportunity, I think, for youth to explore entrepreneurship, and they're really just taking advantage of those opportunities.
Caitlin, you're a teen entrepreneur, and can you tell us about what your experience was like and how you kind of came up with this idea that I want to start my own business?
Well, I first started my own business from a family friend, and she has her own swimming business as well. And she has a swimming pool and got all the certifications. So I achieved on getting my certifications done, and I also have a swimming pool in my backyard. So I thought it was a great idea to take something that you're passionate about and make something that would be really great.
Were you nervous, like how do I start, or where do I, you know, like what's the process? Like what do I have to do to kind of make this come into action?
Yeah, that was like one of the first steps, was trying to figure out where to begin. And I feel like through the Summer Company program, it really helped me get a head start into the game.
Olivia, have you ever wanted to launch your own business, or have you ever thought of this idea, or has it always been, I'm going to get a job, graduate and get a job?
I've never really thought about like making my own business at such a young age, because I really didn't think that it was possible.
Right.
Now that I'm thinking about it, you never know.
It's
Maybe
picking up
next
now.
year. But
Right.
no, I definitely do know. I know somebody in my grade who has launched not necessarily a business, but he's getting there with his shoes. Like mentioned before, passion. He's very passionate about shoes, and I know that he gets shoes that are like great from the start, and then he makes them with his materials that he buys, the paints, the whatever, and he sells them from that.
He sees it go to life from literally the
Exactly.
start of it to the production of it,
Exactly.
and then actually seeing that you can make some money out of it versus, as you said, having to work, at a job or having to do the 9 to 5 and then coming back and having all these hours. This allows you to kind of put your own creativity into effect while still kind of, having that guidance.
Absolutely.
How many years have you worked on a program like this?
The program, I believe, has existed since 2001. So ever since I joined the city of Markham, we've been delivering on this program. And it's specific to encourage youth to take that chance. As you said, it can seem daunting. And so what the government has done is set up this grant program, which offers youth the opportunity to pursue an entrepreneurial passion, turn that into a business, and not take the risk of, well, if I invest money in this and I'm not successful, I'm going to end up losing my investment. Because of the grant, you don't actually have to invest much of your own money. And in addition, even if you don't generate profit during the summer, you still, at the end of the program, qualify for, I guess, another piece of the funding.
Right.
So it sort of compensates you regardless of whether or not your business was successful. So there's sort of that guaranteed income, but at the same time, you're doing something that's much more interesting than flipping
Right.
burgers.
Yeah, and you're kind of seeing it go to life, as I said before, from the start of it, from just the idea to the execution to actually having your own business and saying that you're an entrepreneur. I think it's something that's more recent in the last few years. More youngsters are picking up on this idea, and I think the youth is less shy now to, start early, and they're more ambitious, I think. And I think it's great that Markham offers something that's so close to us to actually put it into place. Have you guys ever wanted to do a group business, or has it always been a solo teen entrepreneurship?
Yeah.
I guess that like with your friends you share a lot of the same passions, and there are ideas that come up, but again the problem is always, how would I start, who do I meet, and people, they'll start planning and they'll figure out what they want to do, but at the end of the day it's just the execution's not there.
Right. So on the other side of the break, we're going to talk about how this program could actually help you execute the idea. Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Ruchika Bindra, and we are talking about how you can have your very own business in our own York region. So Don, Summer Company, how do you apply for it? How does it work? What's the process? Because it seems really cool if I can have my own business.
For sure. The application actually starts online. We ask applicants to fill out a questionnaire, www.ontario.ca/summercompany, and essentially asking some eligibility requirements. But after that, the key element to the application is completing a business plan with your cash flow projections. And our office is there to sort of walk you through that process, help identify, and we pointed it right out. How do you know how to execute? How do you know how to
Right.
register a business? What do you need an HST account? And those are all the questions that we help to answer. Really, we're looking for youth who have that idea that they're passionate about, create a business plan around it, and we'll help with the financial projections and everything else. You do an interview if you're selected, and based on that interview, we make decisions on whether you qualify to receive the grant or not.
And what are different businesses that you've seen come to life over the last few years with the program such as this?
Well, I was really happy to hear about the other fashion-based business. We've had a couple, and when we talk about turning this passion into a business, one of our applicants from Markville Secondary School one year, he did his own fashion blog.
Very cool.
Just as a passion, no business mind whatsoever at that point. But he'd gotten to the point where he had 15,000 visits every month. Wow. It was really popular, so he thought, well, you know, why don't I do a vintage clothing business where I take vintage clothing, repurpose it, and then resell it at a higher price, and actually turn that into a business, going to local markets, setting up booths, selling online through e-commerce, and really leveraging what he was just doing as a hobby over the past couple of years and turning that into a business. So fashion is one. We get lawn care businesses, so very basic services like that.
So there's a full range. You don't have
Absolutely.
to come with this big idea or be intimidated that your idea is too small. There's sort of something for everybody.
Sure.
And in terms of execution, as you know, Mark and Olivia said, a lot of teens feel like they have great ideas in their head, but they don't know how to execute it. Do you guys help them walk them through sort of even the business proposal and the stages and kind of guide them through as to like what's realistically expected and what's not?
For sure, because the program does look at applicants, and we try to determine whether or not this business is feasible. Could it make a profit in a very short time period, which really the summer is only 2 months. And so, yes, students have some amazing ideas, but how do you monetize that? The strategy behind generating a profit out of that idea, we're very happy to work with students at that stage to help them understand, okay, if you tweak your idea a little bit and approach it this way, then it could certainly work to generate some profit over the summer.
And do you have a lot of teens, do you guys have any friends that have ever thought about, okay, maybe I want to start my own business, but I don't know how? And they kind of feel like, maybe I'm just going to stick to a job because it's safer, and there's less of that, you know, that investment fear that you feel like growing up coming in, where am I going to generate the funds to do this?
Yeah, absolutely. Like Mark mentioned, like when you're in a group of friends, you guys are talking about like something that you wish was invented and you don't know whether it was already, and you're like, ooh, like, and then you Google it and it is, and you're like, oh, when
There
will I
goes
ever
my
come up with an
genius
original idea? Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, you never really know, and with investing in it, and you just like, is it an original idea? Like, will I get sued? Like, you don't know. So, yeah.
I think there's a lot of the thing too is that our parents kind of want us to get a real job, like not everybody of course, but a lot of our parents want us to get a real job to show us like, oh, there's real manual labor in this world, like you have to learn how to work. But as teens, we want to do something that's exciting and something that's energetic, and like that's something that we wake up and we have our minds to it like set right away. So like everyone has their ideas, but sometimes.
And I think this is what's good about the fact that, as he said, you know, your parents want you as a teen to kind of go out there and do something and learn responsibility, and you want to kind of do something that you're passionate about. And I think when you become an entrepreneur, you get to mix that. You get to combine both learning the responsibility, learning the trust, learning to generate and work for your money, and at the same time you get to use a passion of an idea that you've had, you know, and kind of go full force at it. And have you seen, Don, the change when you have a team start on the program, by the end of it, sort of any qualities that they've picked up, any leadership skills?
Yeah, for sure. It's great that you bring that up, because although they're operating a business, what they don't realize is a lot of the growth is personal growth. We've
Right.
had students who, somebody who's very interested in crafts, arts and crafts, and very reserved at the beginning of the program, but then you're forced to now sell because you need to generate a profit. That's the expectation that's made when you have your own business. And so over the course of what seems like a short 2-month period, that individual sort of blossoms and grows. They become much more open, gregarious. They're contributing in our group meetings, speaking more eloquently and confidently, and it's great to see the personal development as well as the business skills attached to that.
And I think that's what's great with something, you know, where you're putting in your own time and your own effort. You get to see your leadership and you get to see your own self-growth. And a lot of people, you know, think that you need to necessarily only get a job right away when you're older, or even if they want to have their own business, they have this misconception that I need to become 25 and 26 and, you know, graduate from university and get a master's. And even something as you know, as great as just using your backyard and being, you know, smart about it, a lot of them think, oh, it's only something I can do when I'm older or when I'm later, because the idea of operating a business is a big word, and sometimes it can can get a little bit scary.
For sure.
Did you feel a little bit nervous before you started?
Yeah, of course. Like, everybody feels nervous at the beginning of a process, especially something huge like starting your own business. But I feel like with great mentorship, especially from Dawn and everybody else from the Summer Company, they really get you out of your comfort zone and being able to help you with your big business that you have in mind.
And you had 2 months to kind of do it. At the end of it, what is one thing you took away from it?
I feel like, well, like starting my own business is a really rewarding experience, and especially being able to watch, especially a swimmer, like a child, being able to be a part of their experience and progress, and being able to just be able to teach them is really a great experience.
And have you still stayed in touch, and have you ever thought of making it into a permanent business?
Yeah, for sure. Like currently, it's like a summer business because especially it's outside in a backyard.
Absolutely.
But I'm for sure going to continue my business, especially for the years to come.
And do you think it's going to maybe then turn into this big legacy and become a family business?
Maybe, yeah, for sure.
Okay. This week on #NoFilter, we are talking about how you can be the next teen entrepreneur. Stay tuned. The second part of the episode, we are going to talk about what it's like when you've actually done it and what the results mean on your personal self and your self-development. We have with us Dawn, Caitlin, Mark, and Olivia. Hi everyone, welcome back. We are talking about how you can start your very own business in York Region. Dawn, I have a question for you.
Sure.
How hard is it to get selected?
It is a competitive process. We try to advocate for students. If they're really serious about the opportunity and we've filled our spots, we'll look for other offices to open up their spots and give them to us. So really we're looking for the applicant who's serious about it, and we'll advocate as much as possible for them.
And this is in this is actually in our own Markham region, right? What if you're somebody that's from our neighboring regions?
Well, the program is offered provincially. The funding is actually sponsored through the provincial government.
That's great.
And so you can access this program across Ontario. We happen to deliver it in Markham, but there are offices in Vaughan, Richmond Hill,
That
in
can support
Newmarket
them.
that offer the same program, and it's really accessible for anyone, any youth really who's interested in
What
it.
do you think is the biggest challenge teens face when they're trying to start their own business?
I guess proving the feasibility.
Okay.
Can they actually generate a profit? Which sounds risky, but we try to guide youth as much as possible when we meet with them to help them really refine their business plan and demonstrate that that's possible.
Caitlin, have you done it for one summer already? You've executed the business completely?
Yeah, only for one summer.
And what was your biggest challenge doing it?
I would say my biggest challenge is starting the business, because first you have to get the clientele and build the clientele. And advertising, I found that going door to door wasn't the best option. So I found that social media like Facebook and Kijiji really helped start my business.
And then once you started, you kind of felt that it was smooth sailing all the way through.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Which isn't normal. I mean,
yeah.
you're not necessarily smooth sailing all the way through, which, fortunately for Caitlin,
Worked
she
for
did
her.
a great job. But yeah, we get a lot of entrepreneurs who are not as successful as they had hoped.
And I think they're lucky because they have support, right? Sometimes you need the
Absolutely.
support to kind of tell you that these are the ups and downs in starting your own business, because in the real world, and as you get older and as you take your program and bring it into life, eventually you are going to have obstacles, as there's failures and success with everything.
For sure, but you learn from those failures too.
Right.
I think it's probably the best learning experience you can have is to not succeed at something, because like you said, you're critical about yourself.
Yeah.
And you think about what could I have done better. So it improves, I think, your outlook on things.
Do you have any questions for Dawn?
Yeah, I have one in particular. I wanted to know, what do you expect somebody to have ready in terms of like a business plan and in terms of what they want to do? Like, what needs to be done before somebody comes to see you?
Great question. I think if you're proposing to do a particular business, we want to see that you've had some experience doing it. This is not just an idea you read on the internet, but you have actually either done this as a passion or hobby, and can demonstrate that you're competent in it. You know, there's not a whole lot more we can ask, but we do get applicants who have pursued it as a hobby, have actually been paid to do some freelance work. We've had a lot of web design, graphic design businesses. And so if you come to the program having already provided some of those services, it makes it easier for us to make that decision. But we don't necessarily expect that either, because you're in high school. I mean, that's what you're focused on, but you've probably at least practiced doing this, whether it's for a school project or something like that. So I guess experience is something we try to look for too.
I think another great part to what you're saying is that as long as you have the will and you've even done it as a hobby, or, you know, as you said, a school project, or you've not necessarily already made it into a business, but you've kind of shown some sort of experience into it, it gives you a little bit of a confidence as well when you're going into it, because you know sort of what the pros and cons are, right, and what you're expecting, versus just sitting down and thinking, this is an idea I wanna bring to life. Do you think more women are into being teen entrepreneurs or more men?
I don't know. That's actually a tricky question, because all the people my age, the teenagers that I know are into that stuff already, are male. So I don't know. It's bias on my part, to be completely honest.
Have you felt like there's a ratio between more men versus like women teenagers?
You know, when we look at our stats, it's actually fairly equivalent.
Okay.
Slightly more men getting into entrepreneurship. When you bring the demographic down to high school level, you're right, I do tend to see more males pursuing a business. Not to say that we don't have young women. I mean, Caitlin's a great example of a strong youth entrepreneur who decided to pursue something she was passionate about. But overall, like if I span the years we've been doing this, it is close to 50-50, like 45,
Which I think
55,
is amazing.
sort of.
It makes me so happy to see that there's a, you know, a balance, and that young women are also getting confident to come and say, okay, I'm going to take the plunge and I'm going to put my, you know, my project to life, because in general there is a tendency for, you know, business and finance and more entrepreneurships to be dominated more by males. And I think it's nice that in the last few years especially we've seen a shift, and more women are also coming into all industries. And I think for entrepreneurship it's great to have, you know, a woman be able to start up her own business and see its success and go on its own feet. If you could give one advice, Don, to young teens that want to be, you know, entrepreneurs and don't know what to do, what would you say?
Two things, hustle and follow through. I think hustle is something a lot of young people have, but it's sort of taking that idea and directing it in a way that makes it productive, and then
I love
follow
your word
through
choice,
on
I
it.
have to say.
No, I'm all about hustle, and you know, you don't hear that word much in business, but the reality is you got to go out there and sell. You have to hustle with your own processes, hustle with your clients. I think it shows in the businesses that are successful and the people that experience personal growth. It's because they've tried harder and they've really put that effort forward.
Have you guys felt that nervousness, the thought of even wanting to start your own business, and do you feel like now it's cool that there's a way that it can be done, there's a process set out?
It's good that there's an outlet that you can do it. I think I've had like small ideas in the past. Like I'm always kind of thinking of a bunch of things. Like even with like my career choices and whatever, I'm always all over the map and whatnot. But I think that it's good that there is a place where we can go to and get funding if we're competent enough. And I think it's good to see that people do have trust in the youth, that they can do a good job and start businesses and have an impact on their community.
Perfect. So this week we spoke about how you can actually bring your idea to life, and what's even more greater is that you can do it with Summer Company, and it's in your very own region of Markham. And if you live in our neighboring regions, check it out on its website. There's more information and there's more offices that can help you. Do watch #NoFilter every Wednesday at 6 p.m. and check us out on Twitter and on Instagram.